Hello everyone, my name is Protesilaos, also known as Prot. In this video I want to talk to you about version 4 of the modus themes for Emacs, my highly accessible themes for GNU Emacs. Version 4 is a major rewrite of this project. It is a rewrite in the interest of simplifying the code base, but also providing more power to the user. And I will show you what this means in practice. This rewrite is more than 200 commits in the Git repo, the Git repository, relative to the last stable release. The code is currently in the version 4 branch. The idea is to merge all those changes into the main branch within the coming days, and then to formalize the new version as version 4, to formalize it by the end of the month or the beginning of the next one. So what I want to do in this video is to show you what this redesign is about. So I will open the modus-themes.el, so the standard file of the modus themes, the main file, and I will run an occur for make obsolete, just to show you the scale of this change. We have 85 matches for make obsolete, so I am deprecating a lot of user options. I am discontinuing how things used to be done, and I am providing you with an alternative that is far more flexible and far more powerful than what was possible before. And this alternative has to do with how the palette of each theme is designed. And by the way, there are more themes in the collection. I will talk about them a bit later in the video. So it has to do with how the palette of each theme is designed. So I want to quickly show you the palette of each theme. In this case, I am now using modus operandi. So the palette consists of two subsets. One subset is the associations between a name and a color value. So for example, red intense is this color value, blue warmer is this color value, and so on. So there are associations like this. And then below them, we have the second subset, which is new to version 4 of the themes, which are the semantic color mappings. And semantic color mappings means, for example, heading 2 here, heading 2 is associated with the yellow faint color. So if I search for yellow faint, I can see that this color value applies to headings of level 2. Okay, and then heading 4 is magenta, heading 6 is red faint, and so on. The point with these semantic color mappings is that now, the way I have designed it, they can also be surgically targeted and overridden, rewritten, because we have the overrides for each theme's palette. And the overrides by default are nil, of course, but we can specify our own overrides and thus refashion every aspect of the theme just by changing either the color values or, more importantly or more commonly, the semantic color mappings. So for example, if I don't want heading 2 to be yellow faint, I can change it to another color very easily, and this is what I want to show you right now. So I will just copy some code and put it in the Scratch buffer. So the first thing we want to do is to identify what we are looking at. For example, over here, this no confirm has a magenta color, but what is this no confirm anyway? So to figure this out, I will use the standard Emacs mechanism to ask for help pertaining to the character at point. So you do this by default with the key binding Control-U, Control-X, and the equals sign, and that will produce a help buffer. Alternatively, you can do Emacs and then describe hyphen car. So describe the character at point. I hit the return key. This produces a health buffer. I don't need to worry about this information at the top. I want to scroll a bit further down and I find an entry for the given face. And this face is font lock built-in face. So I can write this information here. So I found a built-in. Okay, so that's good. What about this define word over here? What is this? I repeat the same process and I find that this is font lock keyword face. So I infer that this is a keyword, okay? And I can keep doing this for all the constructs, everything that I can see in Emacs. So this is very promising. The next step that I want to do is to figure out, to find the semantic color mappings in the theme that I am currently using for built-in and keyword to see what they are. So I will use the standard Emacs mechanism to ask for help pertaining to variables, because the modus operandi palette is a variable, and so on for every palette in the modus themes collection. Modus operandi, and I can find the palette over here. So I hit the return key, and this will produce a help buffer which contains the value of the modus operandi palette. If I search for keyword, I can find it over here, okay? And I can search for built-in, it is here, and so on for the others. So let me copy this and paste it over here, put it over here. So I have found the color mappings that I am now interested in. So that's great. The next step is to figure out what is the point of entry to override the palette. So the overrides for the palette are named after the override. Are named after the palette. So I am doing Control-HV, modus operandi, just moving the cursor, modus operandi, and then I notice palette and then hyphen overrides. Okay, so all the overrides are the name of the palette and then the suffix overrides. So I want to copy this and use this. So what I want to do is to set the value of the variable modus operandi palette overrides. The overrides mirror the syntax of the standard palette. So this means that it is a list of lists. Okay, so I will just write it now like this for didactic purpose. So in this list of lists, I want to include the semantic color mappings that I retrieved. So I have those over here. Now these are at their default values. So obviously, if I evaluate this, I am not changing anything, right? The next step then is to figure out the names of the colors that I want to use. So built-in is, for example, named magenta warmer. So how do I find the name of another color that I want to use? For this, we have the command that previews, that lists the colors of the modus themes palette. Emacs modus themes list colors, or modus themes list colors current. Current is for the theme that you are now using, and then the other will prompt you for a theme. So I will use modus themes list colors right now. And it is prompting me for a theme. Okay, very good. Now I will use modus operandi since this is the theme I am using right now. So I hit the return key, and this produces a help buffer that showcases all the entries in the palette, and this is very helpful. So I can see all the colors here, and I can find the one that I want. You will notice the naming scheme. We have the name of a hue, for example, red, and then we have variations of it. Red warmer, red cooler, red faint, red intense. And the same for the other hues. So we have blue warmer, blue cooler, blue faint, blue intense, and then standard blue. And this is the idea, and you can see also how they vary, because if you have a sense of how the colors are, for example here magenta, if you think of magenta as a blend of red and blue, you can infer that magenta cooler is closer to blue, so this means that it is purple, and magenta warmer is closer to red. And you can see this here in practice. Okay, so this is the idea with all the colors, and you can check those at your own pace. Just to say that there are also background values. So BG red, for example, is a background value. So you don't want to use these for text. You want to use this for semantic color mappings that pertain to backgrounds. But let's not worry about this right now. Let's focus here on what we can see. So the built-in, okay, I want to change the built-in. So I know I have found the names of the colors. So let's say that I want built-ins to be green warmer. Okay, this is what I like. And I will also change the cursor now to blue intense. Okay, these are the two overrides that I want to make. The others are the same. When you are defining overrides, you just need to define the overrides. You don't need to redefine the whole palette, okay? And changes will take effect, but even if you redefine more, it doesn't matter. So I will evaluate this form, and now I have registered my overrides for the modus operandi theme. The final step for the overrides to take effect is to reload the theme. So you can do this with the load theme command, standard stuff, command or function, and you can do it like this, for example, or you can do Emacs modus-themes select, and then select the theme that you are currently using. I will do it this way. It doesn't make a difference though. What matters is that you reload the theme. So I reloaded it, and this now is a green hue, and also the cursor is blue. Let's continue changing things. The defun, as we figured out, is a keyword, so I have keywords here. Okay, so let's make keywords red intense, and this is the FN name. I know this, so let's make those cyan. Okay. And this is the constant, so I will make constant yellow warmer, and this text over here is the docstring, so I will make the docstring, what should we make it? Let's make it magenta faint, and the first line over here, this is a comment, so I will make the comment red faint. Let's do it like this. So I evaluate this, and now I will reload the theme, and you see that we have red, we have cyan, we have yellow over here. So you get the idea, right? So this is very powerful. And we can also change the exact color value. So it's not just the mappings, we can also change the exact color value. For example, blue intense, no, let's use the green over here. The green warmer, okay. Because of the accessibility standard of the themes, greens are not, they don't pop out, they are not very vivid in the light theme, because if they are very vivid, then they are not legible, they fall below the 7:1 contrast ratio that we are targeting, because green, of the three main hues, green is the brightest, it is inaccessible, pure green. But let's redefine green warmer here just to showcase what we can do. So maybe you know how to write a color value, or maybe you found it online, so you found a specific green that you really like. Let's say that it is like this, so it is like maybe let's make it a bit, let's make it like this, so I cannot type anything anymore. So this is the green hue that you like, okay? And you want green warmer to mean this specific hue. So you do it like this, and then it will be applied to the overrides. You evaluate the overrides, and then you reload the theme, and you see now they are this light green. Let's make it even brighter so that you can see. Let's tweak it a bit like this so that you can see. Evaluate the overrides, reload the theme, so you see how this works. Of course, this is not legible anymore, but more power to you. If you want this, you can do this, no problem, no stress. So you can keep doing this for all the semantic color mappings and for all the values, all the individual value. So you can do this for everything. For example, the cursor, it doesn't have to name a color from the themes. It doesn't have to be the name of what we have in the palette. It could be an arbitrary color value that you now want to define. So I want the cursor right now to be pure yellow, okay, because this is what I want. So I evaluate this and I do it. It is pure yellow. Of course, yellow on white is not legible, so you cannot see it right now. Maybe if I make it pure red, things will be a bit better. So the cursor is pure red. You can see the cursor right now. Okay, so you are not limited to just the mappings. You can do it however you want. You can change color values. You can change mappings to values directly instead of other names in the palette. So this is all that you can do. And you can cancel everything by setting the overrides to nil and then reload the theme for changes to take effect. Let's now take a look again at the palette. You will notice that there are lots and lots of overrides. For example, there is link, there is string, there is date, there is weekend, error, warning, headings, all the headings, mail, site 0 through 3, mail recipient, mail subject. So there are all those. Let me show you very quickly a buffer with emails. Actually, let's bring it over here, like this. So you see, so those, you can also change those in an email, okay? So you have full power. It's not up to me to decide how it should be. You want to change the subject in emails, you can do it. You want to change the quotes, you can do it. No problem, no stress. So what I have done here with all this is that I have given you full power over the theme. And this means that we no longer need user options that hard code individual color values. For example, with the mode line, we used to have an option to change the mode line to a so-called accented style. This accented hue was a shade of blue. So you could change the mode line to blue basically, but you could not change it to yellow, for example. Whereas now you can. So let's see with the mode line, because it is a prominent element and we want to figure this out together. Let's now check the palette again and let's do mode line. So this is the mode line. I will copy all this over here for you to see. We don't need the two buffers. I don't know why I did that. So let's read this. We have BG mode line active, FG mode line active, border mode line active. And then we have the same for the inactive mode line, but I didn't copy everything. So inactive like this. And what we want to do now is we want to change the active mode line to, let's say, make it yellow. BG yellow. I know BG yellow because I did Emacs list colors and I found BG yellow over here, okay? But you can use whatever color you want. This is the idea. If you want, you can specify a color value yourself, no problem with that, okay? But now I will use BG yellow. So the background of the active mode line will be yellow. The foreground, I will also make it yellow because this is the vibe I am going for. And the border, If I want to make the border invisible, I can make it BG yellow as well. So I can make it the same as the mode line. But if I want the border to be distinct, to be visible, I can give it a different color. Let's keep it like this. Let's keep it invisible. So I evaluate this. Let's load the theme. So you see what we got, a yellow mode line. Let's make this red. Let's make this red as well. And now let's use a prominent border for the mode line. Evaluate this and load the theme. Okay, so you get the idea. Let's make the text a bit more legible. So you will have to tinker with this to find exactly what you want. And you see what I have done. This is the idea, folks. I think this is very powerful, and you will definitely find this much better than what we had before with the various user options. Of course, you want blue, you liked what we had before, you can have your blue, no problem with that. So here it is, okay, as simple as that. And if you want the specific color value, you can specify the specific color value that you want. Again, if you want to hide the border, you just use the same background as for the mode line, and you just evaluate so the border is no longer visible. So this is the idea, folks, and I think this is wonderful. This is great. Just to clarify that I have not removed all the user options, okay? There still are user options. This is no longer here. There still are user options. There still are plenty of them, and you can use them. I have removed all the user options that affected color values. So I have removed those, and then I also removed some user options that were problematic for different reasons. They were very complex, including the one for the mode line. It was very complex and not very effective. It wasn't working properly with popular packages such as Doom mode line, whereas now this mechanism here is flexible and works with everything, okay? But you can check those variables as well. So this is it about the overrides and the way to customize the theme to your liking. What I now want to show you as the last part to this video is a quick demo of the other themes in the collection. This rewrite that I have done makes it possible to define more themes, and I have now done exactly this. We have modus operandi and modus vivendi, which are the standard themes that have been here from day one. And now we have modus operandi tinted and modus vivendi tinted, and then we also have the versions that are optimized for users with red-green color deficiency, also known formally as deuteranopia. So we have modus operandi deuteranopia, modus vivendi deuteranopia. So let's preview these. Let's go to the code here, and I will do Emacs modus themes select, and I now want to load modus operandi tinted. I was using modus operandi. Let's use now the tinted. So I am loading the tinted. Of course, my overrides no longer have effect because the overrides were for modus operandi, whereas this is modus operandi tinted. So if I want overrides, I have to define them for this one as well, okay? So we can see that this has a light ochre background. We can see that instead of gray, it uses a more earthly palette. We can see that the cursor is red. Comments are of a red hue. The current line is also has a red tint to it, and also the selected line here in the completions as well. So this is the idea. Let's quickly switch to modus operandi again. You can see that modus operandi is cooler in this regard. We have grays, and here we have a metallic blue, and also a blue here in the completions. And there are other small differences like this one. Let's now switch to the deuteranopia version of modus operandi over here. This is like modus operandi. When you load it, it looks almost the same, The comments are a bit different. They are a shade of yellow, but the real difference here is with color codings that normally use red and green. Red and green cannot be used side by side for people with red-green color deficiency because they cannot differentiate between those two colors. It is very difficult for them or outright impossible. So for those cases, the Deuteranopia optimized theme is using yellow and blue hues. So I want to show you a diff here. For example, let's have this diff over here, and you can see that removed lines are yellow and added lines are blue. Let's just load the modus operandi so that you can see the standard colors. Okay, red and green are the standard colors. And for users with Deuteranopia, it is yellow and blue. And those users can see this clearly. So we are empowering everyone to use Emacs effectively. We are not setting up any kind of obstacle for them. We want to make this as accessible as possible. And of course, what I said about the overrides applies to all the themes in the collection. So again, you can change the color values, you can change the mappings, everything. Okay. So since I am doing this, let me quickly load the other themes as well in the collection. I will now switch to modus vivendi, the standard dark theme of this collection. Because this is pure black, a pure black background, I am giving you an extra second. Please adjust the brightness of your monitor or take a step back or anyhow be prepared because this is a major change and it might startle you, it might upset you. So I am now changing to modus vivendi. So I changed this. Oh, I was experimenting with some overrides for modus vivendi, so sorry about this. Let's disable the overrides for modus vivendi. I was experimenting before, so modus vivendi palette overrides, and we want to set this to nil. So this is the overrides that I had, but if we reload the theme, this is standard modus vivendi, okay? But the point is that you can change it however you want. You can refashion the whole thing, okay? So this is standard modus vivendi. It is simple and effective. Let's see the diff since we have it over here. This is the diff standard red and green colors, okay? Let's now do modus vivendi tinted over here. The tinted is a dark sky blue background, and we can see that there is a blue tint applied to what would normally be gray, and we can see that there is a slightly different hue for the selection line. We can see that the cursor is magenta instead of white, so there are small changes like this one, but again you can use the overrides however you want. Finally, the modus vivendi Deuteranopia, and this one has differences when it comes to red and green color coding. It is yellow and blue. So this is all, folks. This is version 4 of the modus themes. This is a major rewrite of the project. I will be merging the version 4 branch into the main branch sometime in the coming days. I still need to review the documentation, still need to rewrite large sections of the manual. However, I think that the code is already usable. If you want to check out the version 4 branch, please do it, and I am interested to hear from you, to read your feedback. So that's all for today. Version 4 will be released at the end of December 2022 or the beginning of January 2023, depending on how it goes. In case I have something else to do, we will see. So that's all for today, folks. Thank you very much for your attention. Take care. Goodbye.